All right, welcome to today's video and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about this subject, TFSA Withdrawals Explained. Actually, I'm going to be talking about contributions and withdrawals, helping you understand why there's some confusion around that. But more importantly, I'm actually going to share with you in a financial plan how we use a TFSA, why it is so important in your retirement planning. How it's going to save you thousands of dollars in taxes. And I think you're going to be surprised by how we're going to be using a TFSA. So without further ado, let's get into why you're here. And remember to like and share this video with everybody that needs to see it. And remember to comment on the video. I love reading your comments. Actually, this video is from a comment from a subscriber. So look, your comments matter to me. I like to see what you're thinking, what you're confused about, and make videos about it. So this is a subscriber comment. He was saying to me, how do you get to $1.8 million in a tax-free savings account when your maximum life contribution limit is just over $90,000? So that speaks volumes about the confusion around the contribution limit. So I thought, let's do a video and explain that so everybody can really take advantage of their tax-free savings account. Now, there is no maximum contribution lifetime limit. The maximum limit for you is how old do you get, really, right? Because you're always being given a limit. Each year, every time you go around the sun, another year's contribution limit is given to you. So you live to 120, God bless you. You're always going to have those contribution limit going up and up and up. So that's only your limit, is how old can you live? That'll be your limit. But let's get into the actual numbers, okay? Now, little refresher, TFSA is actually reset every January 1st. So every January 1st, government says, hey, the limit for this year is $7,000. That's what it is now. And then next year they'll say, well, the limit is now $7,500. So the limit actually goes up. It's adjusted for inflation, so it's rounded to the nearest 500. So as soon as it gets close to 500, 7,500, they're going to adjust it up to 7,500. Now, this year, of course, it's 7,000. Hopefully next year it's 7,500. The cumulative amount since 2009 when TFSAs were introduced is $95,000. So that's where this gentleman, I think, gets that idea about this. I'm going to show you how you get to 1.8 million, but this is really important. You never ever lose your contribution, this limit that they've provided so far since 2009. You never lose that. When you do a withdrawal in an RSP, you lose that room. It's gone forever. But in a tax-free savings account, you get to put that money back in. But the confusion, I think, for some of you is when do I put it in and how do I put it in? There seems to be some kind of restriction. I'm going to explain that in a second. Now, why is there some confusion around how much money you can put into a TFSA when you're trying to find how much money, where do I look? Three places: my service account, my CRA account, and then you could also call my CRA. You'd find it on your notice of assessment. There is a few places for you to find it, but it's likely when you actually go onto your online that number is incorrect. And here's why. Financial institutions only report your activity in a TFSA at the end of the year. So your contribution, let's say after you filed your income tax, any activity in your TFSA up until December 31st is not going to be attributed at all to your number. So all the deposits you're putting in automatically, that won't be reflected when you go online. Any withdrawals that you do won't be reflected until after January 1st. So keep that in mind. You might have to keep track of your own deposits and withdrawals. It would be useful for you to do that so that when you look at the actual amount online, it's probably not accurate and you have to keep track of it. That's why it's a little bit confusing about how much is your room, and some people go over the limit. Now, three reasons or three areas of how your contribution is actually calculated. The yearly TFSA limit. So this is that $7,000 that you're allowed to contribute. Then you have any unused contribution room from previous years. So that $95,000 that you could have contributed from 2009 to today, that's your unused room. And once you fill that up, you have no unused room. All you have is the yearly limit of $7,000, and then when they increase it by $500. And then the third is where some people get confused, and that's any withdrawals from previous years. So some people read that and they think, well, if I made a withdrawal in 2023 and I don't put it back in 2024, then it's lost because of the way I'm reading this in, right? It says from previous year. You don't ever lose your contribution room when you do a withdrawal. You can put it back 10 years later if you want to. So it's never gone. And that's the key to getting to 1.8. I'm going to share with that with you in just a second. Okay, so let's look at this. You've got a calendar 2023 on the left, 2024 on the right. You decide to take $10,000 out of in 2023, and let's say you had no unused contribution room. You'd completely filled it up. You'd put $95,000 in, and you wanted to take $10,000 out last year, and you did it. Then that means if you ended up having some source of income that where you were able to put the money back, you wouldn't be able to do that in 2023 because your room is only $7,000 per year. So you have to wait actually until 2024 to contribute that $10,000. But you also get that year's room of the $7,000. So you still get your room in 2024, that's the $7,000, plus the $10,000 you took from 2023, you can put it back into your TFSA. So that's how withdrawals and contribution room works. Now, why am I telling you this? Why are tax-free savings accounts so important to you? Because of taxation. But you say, I don't have a lot of money in a tax-free savings account. I'm not saving that much more money. Most of my money is in an RSP, which is true of many people. But that may not be the case in your retirement. Your retirement might have a lot of money in a TFSA, and let me show you how that might happen. Let's go into the financial planning software, and I will show you an actual example. So in this case here, you can see we've got my favorite couple, Philip and Elizabeth Windsor plan, and I'm just going to show you Philip so you can get a sense of how this works. But Philip's 62 years of age. We got some income splitting going on between spouses. So people ask me, do you actually show income splitting? Yeah, there's some income splitting going on. We've decided to push Philip's CPP and old age security off to 70 to give us room to do an RRSP meltdown. So you see there's that window that we create with no income. It doesn't have a pension like a private employer pension, just has CPP and his investment accounts. So by pushing down the CPP and old age security at age 70, again, no old age security clawback too, that's what we have to be aware of. We have now this window from 62 to 69 where there is virtually no income coming into this plan. So we get to do some RRSP withdrawals. Some of you also ask me, shouldn't you RIF first or do an RSP versus doing the RSP meltdown first? Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, one plan to another, you might save marginally a little bit more money, but that's not what this video is about. It's all about how the TFSA comes into play. So you'll notice here, we're doing an RSP meltdown, and any extra money above their need flows into their tax-free savings account. So you see these deposits here. Now, you'll also pay attention here that there's no non-registered value here in this plan. But all of a sudden, there's this amount, $378,000 is deposited. So what is going on here is, and this is a question I ask you when I do a plan, do you plan to stay in your home throughout your retirement, or do you need to or want to downsize in retirement? And if the answer is yes, so I'm going to show you, here's an example of a downsize. Now, in our planning software, we divide the house into the couple, we divide it by half. So that's why you see $1 million here being cut in half and into $450,000. So essentially what it means is the value of the house between the couple is actually $2 million, right? Slightly less than $2 million, but $2 million. And they end up buying a townhome or a condo for $900,000 for cash. So $450,000 is in his hands. It goes to the condo. And in Elizabeth, $450,000 in her hands to go to the condo. But the excess capital, it's got to go somewhere. So it goes to the non-registered account, and then it goes to the tax-free savings account. This is the coolest thing. So now all of a sudden, you see how there was no money in the non-registered account. And now you've got money in a non-registered account, but you're not going to just leave it there because it's exposed to taxation. So in the first instance, we fill up all the unused contribution room. And what do you see there? $156,000 contribution. And back to this gentleman's point, you say, wait a minute, I thought it was $95,000. But don't forget, you've got all these years where you could have contributed to a tax-free savings account and you really didn't. And so you've got all that room. Plus, you took money out here and here and here. So you get to put that money back in again. So you have all your withdrawals plus your annual limits that you get to contribute. So that's why his total contribution from 2009 to 2035 is now $156,000. So you're going to take that money from the sale of your house, the downsize, and some of it's going to go into the TFSA and the rest goes in your non-registered account. Now from there, every year after that, you're going to be making your maximum contribution to your TFSA. That's your annual limit. But in this time, with it going up with inflation, it's now $9,500. So we're taking from your non-registered account and going to transfer $9,500 to your TFSA. Next year, same thing. But then 2 years later, it's now gone up by $500. So again, we're taking money from the TFSA, putting it into from your non-registered into your TFSA. See how that's working? So you're using your non-registered to fill it up every year. So this is why a TFSA is really important to you, because at some point, probably at some point in your life, maybe it happens later on in your 80s when you really can't get up and down the stairs and you need to go to maybe a senior retirement living space, you're going to take your home and probably sell it, and this is going to happen in your plan. So we model this out. This is one of the scenarios that we would plan out for you, saying, well, what would happen if you actually had to do this? This is what it would look like. And so you get down to this plan, you can see that they're making contributions to their tax-free savings account. They don't actually need this money, and it's just growing. Here we're showing it growing at 5.15%, and you can see it growing, 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 growing. Then eventually they run out of the RSP meltdown. That's gone, got that money out of their plan, and they've got they die with $1.2 million in their tax-free savings account. That's how you get to well over $1 million in your tax-free savings account, is likely because of the downsizing event that's going to happen probably for many of you. You're going to decide to do that in your lifetime. You'll just deposit that into your tax-free savings account. That is how important a tax-free savings account. I hope you loved this video. If you did, smash that button for me. I think it's somewhere down here somewhere. Like and follow this video. Share it with everybody that you think needs to see it. Give me your comments on this. For those of you who are thinking about how did he get to 1 million, did that help answer that question, or did it confuse you even more? I hope it resolved that. And thanks for tuning in again. And I'd love to see you in the next video. Thanks very much and be well.